Hi, it's Martin Gibbons from PeopleMaps, and today we're carrying on this series where we're looking at engagement and disengagement. So if you're working with people, whether maybe you're a teacher and you're working with children, or maybe you're a line manager and you're working with your subordinates, then what we're looking at is what disengages people in the first place, and how do you ultimately re-engage them. And when we talk about engagement or re-engagement, we're talking about where they're not heart and soul into whatever initiative that is you've raised. So somehow or other they've emotionally withdrawn from the situation and they're really just going through the motions. When what you actually want is for them to fully participate and be present in whatever is the initiative. So today what you'll see behind me here, of course, is the PeopleMaps map, and the map covers the entire personality spectrum. And what we're going to look at in this video is very specifically the northwest of the map. And what I will say here will be generally true of everyone in the northwest, but please bear in mind that even within the northwest there is a huge range of personality. So I am generalizing for practical reasons and for the purposes of this video. But most of what I will say will be true of everyone to varying degrees in the northwest of the map. So let's first look at what might cause someone in the northwest to disengage in the first place. The northwest really need to be convinced of the reasons for doing something. They will not simply just, although they're generally quiet, they will not simply just go along because you've asked them to do something. So people in the northwest would want to know why they're doing it. They would want to say a reasonably laid out plan. They would want to know that you have given it careful thought and consideration, and that this isn't just something you've pulled out of a hat. So they don't like surprises. They don't like plans that are very much on the hoof or ad hoc. What they appreciate and value is something that has been considered. So if you're asking them to get involved in something, then they would like to know that some consideration has been given to this and it's not just keeping them busy. Now they're very task orientated. They like to get things done, but more importantly, they like to get things done right. And if they feel that you're cutting corners or you're cowboying it, or there's a risk that they will be asked to ultimately deliver goods or services or something which is not up to their standards, i.e. you've asked them to cut corners and cowboy it, then they will really start to become disengaged. Quality is very important to them. So if they are disengaged, the chances are this is one of the reasons, it's not the only reason, but this is some of the things that may have led up to that becoming about. So if you happen to be a person, let's say you're a little like me and you're from the east of the map, then I don't need all those details before we start on things. I tend to throw into things quite enthusiastically and get started. So if you're on the east of the map, you might be a bit like that too. Well, that's not quite enough for people in the northwest. So if I'm working with someone in the northwest, I would have to stop, go back to my desk, gather my thoughts, write things out in a bit more detail than I would ever need, and try and make it a lot more considered. So by the time I approach someone in the northwest, they can see that it has been considered and that they are not being expected to cut corners or cowboy anything. So if you want to re-engage someone in the northwest, so let's say we've already burnt the bridge, we've done the damage, and they're disengaged, they're from the northwest, re-engage them, well, that is going to be quite challenging. But the starting point is to recognise that that issue has happened. Again, they tend to be extremely good at thinking things through. They also see what can go wrong, and they're very creative in their analysis and in their thinking. The challenge is that they are unlikely to voice that unless they are pushed or prompted. So if to get some re-engagement here, you may want to go back to them with the project and ask them to write up the project plan and to think it through and to write up the detailed aspect of that. The persons whose work they respect the most is themselves. They generally believe that they will do it right and others will not. So give them the opportunity to actually do it right from the beginning. So rather than you having to write it all out, try and get them engaged in coming up with the detailed plan. Let them set the standard because their standards are high, and try and get the whole project to operate to that higher standard. That's one sure way of getting them re-engaged, even if they have opted out at some point along the line. Okay, so that's it. I'm Martin Givens, this is PeopleMaps, and we're looking at engagement and re-engagement in this very short series of videos.